So let's look at one more word problem where we'll need to use the Pythagorean theorem. And this particular problem is a little bit more challenging because we're not given a picture. So we will need to draw our own picture here. And in this problem, Steve is turning half of his backyard into a chicken pen. His backyard is a 24-meter by 45-meter rectangle. He wants to put a chicken wire fence that stretches diagonally from one corner to the opposite corner. So how many meters of fencing will Steve need? So let's first start by drawing out this rectangle, since we're told that his backyard is a rectangle and we're told the dimensions of the rectangle. So it's a 24-meter by 45-meter rectangular backyard. And he wants to put a chicken wire fence that stretches diagonally from one corner to the opposite corner. So if we're looking at opposite corners, we could really do it on either side. It doesn't matter. We want to draw in this diagonal line to represent the fence that he's going to put in. So, and remember, this is a rectangle, so opposite sides are going to be equal. And half of this yard is going to become the chicken pen. So it might be this half or it might be this half. It doesn't really matter. But let's just pick one. Let's assume it's this bottom half here. And since this is a rectangle, we know this is going to be at a right angle. So we need to find the length of this diagonal line, since that's the chicken wire, the fence that Steve's going to put in. So let's just call that X. And because we have a right triangle, we can use the Pythagorean theorem to relate the sides of this triangle. So let me paste in a picture of our Pythagorean theorem and the relationship we're dealing with. So when we have some right triangle with side legs A, B, and C, our theorem just says that when we square the two legs and add them together, that they're equal to the hypotenuse squared. So to use this formula, we just need to label what A, B, and C are. So let's say that X, that has to be C, since that's the long side. That's the one opposite the right angle. That's our hypotenuse. And for A and B, the two legs, it doesn't really matter. So maybe we call this one A and this one is B. So now we plug everything into our equation, or this Pythagorean theorem. So we have that A squared, that is 45 squared, plus B squared, which is 24 squared, is equal to C squared, which we called X, and we'll square that. So at this point, we just need to simplify and find out what 45 squared and 24 squared are. And for that, you can either multiply by hand or you can just use a calculator. So 45 squared, 45 times 45, that is just 2025. And 24 squared, 24 times 24 is 576. So if we were to add these together, x squared would be equal to, well, 2000 plus 500, that's 2500. And 25 more than 76, that's 101. So 2500 plus 101 would be 2601. And at this point, we can take a square root of both sides to cancel out that square. And the square root of 2601, 2601, this is actually a perfect square, so it has a whole number answer. In fact, this is 51, since 51 times 51 is 2601. So x in this case is this whole number answer of 51. And we were talking about how many meters of fencing Steve needs. So to run this fence diagonally across the yard, he would need 51 meters of fencing.